On the Korean peninsula, winter was a test of survival. When snow buried thatched roofs and the north wind howled through cracks, sleep became a quiet battle between man and frost. There was no electricity, no thick quilt, only earth, fire, and human breath. Yet in the darkest months, peasants discovered an ancient art of warmth, the ondol floor beneath their feet, and the unspoken comfort of family gathered close in the glow of living heat. Winter in medieval Korea was not merely a season, it was a siege. From November to March, the northern winds known as bukpung swept across the peninsula, carrying with them the scent of frozen soil and pine smoke. Temperatures in the lowlands could fall to 15 degrees, while the mountain valleys sank even lower. The rivers stiffened into glass, fields turned to stone, and animals vanished into silence. For farmers, winter was both rest and reckoning. The year's harvest was done, the tools stored, and survival became a calculation of fuel, grain, and endurance. Villagers sealed themselves inside clay-walled homes, patching every crack, praying that their stock of firewood and dried food would last until the thaw. In those long nights, the cold pressed against every surface like an invisible predator. Breathing was smoke. Water froze in bowls beside the bed. Even dreams were shortened by the cold. Yet, in this relentless frost, the Korean people learned to make warmth not from abundance, but from ingenuity. They built homes that breathed with the earth, turned cooking fires into sources of heat, and transformed sleep itself into an act of survival. To live through a Joseon winter was to understand the patience of stone and the quiet strength of fire beneath one's feet. The peasant's house, or chogajip, was humble yet ingenious, a small universe made of soil, straw, and smoke. Its thick earthen walls shielded families from the cutting wind, while the thatched roof sagged under snow like a heavy blanket. But the true secret of survival lay below, the ondol. An ancient Korean floor heating system, ondol turned fire into comfort. Hot air and smoke from the kitchen stove travelled through stone flues running beneath the floor, heating the packed earth above. As the fire roared in the cooking hearth, warmth seeped quietly through the room, radiating up from the ground like the pulse of life itself. Families would eat, rest, and sleep on this warm floor, spreading straw mats or cotton bedding directly over the heated clay. The house became not just a shelter but a living organism. The fire was its heart, the chimney its breath, the floor its flesh. In the dead of winter, while wind clawed outside and frost laced the windows, the ondol floor glowed faintly with trapped heat. It was more than engineering. It was philosophy, a belief that warmth should rise from the earth, not fall from the sky. Here, in these quiet homes of packed soil, the Korean peasant turned cold into companionship, and frost into something that could be endured together. The ondol was both simple and profound, a design that merged necessity with wisdom. It consisted of three main parts: the agungi, kitchen stove, the gore, horizontal flues running beneath the floor, and the gudoljang, stone slab floor, leading to the chimney. When a family cooked their evening meal, the fire's heat travelled through the gore, warming the stones and earth beneath the room before escaping through the chimney outside. The structure turned an ordinary fire into a slow, lingering source of life. Even after the flames went out, the heat remained trapped in the stones for hours, radiating gentle warmth throughout the night. The floor surface, coated with layers of clay mixed with rice straw and ash, acted as insulation, strong enough to hold weight, soft enough to retain heat. This design had another hidden virtue: it kept the air dry. In the damp Korean winters, humidity could rot wood and breed mould, but the ondol's steady warmth prevented both. It was a system that purified as much as it protected. While Europe relied on open hearths and drafty chimneys, Korea perfected the art of heating from below, a method that shaped its architecture, furniture, and even social customs. Life happened close to the ground, sitting, eating, sleeping, all connected to the earth's warmth. In every humble village, the ondol was the quiet triumph of human adaptation. As the sun vanished behind frozen hills, families began the ritual of preparing the night's warmth. The fire in the agungi was stoked for hours, not to cook, but to saturate the ondol with heat. The mother would test the floor with her palm. If it was too hot, they waited, letting the warmth mellow until it was gentle and even. Children gathered straw mats and thin cotton blankets, laying them across the warm earth. Some spread out worn hemp sheets or folded old clothes to make an extra layer. For the poorest, bedding was nothing more than patched rice sacks sewn together, rough, but enough when combined with the breath of the family. When the fire died down, the room filled with a faint fragrance of smoke and clay. Outside, the wind howled, shaking the shutters. Inside, silence deepened, broken only by the crackle of cooling stones. They did not complain of the cold, because they had learned to sleep with the rhythm of the earth. As the night stretched long, warmth rose slowly from the floor, seeping into bones and dreams. Each inhale carried the scent of life preserved, each exhale a quiet thanks for surviving another winter night. In the heart of that simple home, sleep was not escape. It was survival wrapped in patience. In the frozen countryside of medieval Korea, even sleep required strategy. What one wore to bed could decide whether the night passed in comfort or misery. Peasants dressed in durumagi, long quilted coats padded with cotton, or sochang, lighter inner robes worn for warmth rather than display. Beneath these they wore baji, loose trousers, and joggery, short jackets, made of homespun cotton or hemp, soft and breathable, yet remarkably insulating. Blankets were treasures in themselves. Some were filled with rice straw or hemp fibres, others stuffed with crushed cotton from old garments. The wealthier households might own thick quilts dyed with indigo or madder root, while poorer families relied on patched layers of fabric sewn by hand. Every piece of cloth told a story, of harvests, weddings, or the last usable scraps from an ancestor's robe. For pillows, people used sacks filled with chaff or beans, warm to the touch after resting on the ondol floor. Even the simplest bedding became a small architecture of warmth, built from resourcefulness and memory. These humble materials carried something beyond physical heat. They were the tangible proof of endurance, the belief that warmth could be created, not bought. In every stitch and fold lay a mother's care, a father's patience, and a child's laughter under the same blanket of survival. When night descended and the ondol glowed beneath the floor, the family gathered together to sleep. There were no separate rooms, no private beds, only one wide heated space shared by all. The elders lay near the chimney, where the heat was strongest. The children huddled in the centre, their breath forming tiny clouds in the dim light. Sleeping together was not simply practical, it was cultural. Body warmth circulated like shared breath, sealing out the cold air that prowled beyond the paper doors. Babies were wrapped in cotton cloth and placed close to the warm wall, while the grandmother's arms served as their first blanket. In these nights, the concept of family became literal, a circle of warmth drawn on the floor. They spoke in whispers, told folk tales, and sang lullabies until the last ember faded. The flicker of the hearth cast gentle shadows across faces, binding them with an intimacy that no frost could break. To outsiders, this closeness might seem primitive, but to those who lived it, it was the essence of resilience, a reminder that in the harshest winter, human warmth was the first and oldest form of fire. When dawn came, they rose together from the same mat, alive because they had faced the cold not alone, but as one. Every corner of a peasant's home was designed to resist the invasion of cold. The doors, made from wood and hanji paper, were fragile but clever. As winter approached, families added extra layers of hanji, pasting them tightly to block the biting wind. The paper itself breathed, letting out smoke, letting in light, but stopping the cruel air from piercing through. Walls were renewed each year before the frost arrived. A mixture of mud, straw, and ash was plastered over the existing surface, sealing every gap. The material hardened like clay, forming a natural insulation that held heat as well as any modern wall. Inside, the faint scent of earth reminded the family that their house was not built against nature, but with it. The thatched roof, too, became armour. Villagers tied it down with ropes, layering pine branches or snow itself on top. Snow, paradoxically, worked as an insulator, keeping the warmth trapped beneath. The roof's thick straw absorbed the wind's fury and released it gently, like a sigh into the night. In the howling winter of medieval Korea, the house became a cocoon of human patience. Outside, wolves might roam the fields. Inside, fire whispered under the floor and the earth walls held firm. The home was not grand, but it was alive, breathing warmth with every crackle of the ondol. When darkness fell over the snow-covered village, the world outside seemed erased. Wind hissed along frozen fields, rattling the hanji doors. Inside, however, life continued in murmurs and quiet music. The ondol hummed softly as embers shifted in the stove, releasing the sweet, faint scent of pine. In that dim room, sound became a form of warmth. The bubbling of the rice pot over the agungi, the crackling of the fire, the rhythmic snoring of a sleeping grandfather, all blended into a single symphony of survival. Children whispered stories under blankets, their laughter dulled by the thickness of the air. Mothers mended clothes by candlelight, while fathers repaired tools for the coming spring. Every movement was slow, deliberate, as if the cold outside could not touch time within these walls. Even the silence had texture, the breath of family, the shift of straw mats, the faint sigh of smoke leaving through the chimney. These were not nights of loneliness, but of presence. The darkness outside pressed close, yet the warmth inside expanded, filling every space. In the frozen stillness of a Korean winter, the hum of the ondol and the quiet voices of family became proof that life endured. Not loudly, but faithfully, one heartbeat at a time. The ondol was more than a heating system. It was a philosophy carved into daily life. Over centuries it shaped how Koreans built their homes, how they ate, and even how they sat. Furniture remained low, meals were shared on floor tables, and social gatherings unfolded close to the ground where warmth lived. The body learned to rest not above the fire, but within it. From royal palaces in Seoul to humble huts in mountain valleys, the ondol united the country in a shared rhythm of warmth. It symbolized not luxury, but equality. Every family, regardless of wealth, could feel the same gentle heat under their feet. The system also embodied harmony with nature. The firewood gathered from forests, the clay drawn from riverbanks, the smoke that drifted harmlessly into the winter sky. In literature and art, the ondol became a metaphor for home itself, the invisible comfort that sustained life through hardship. Even today, Korea's modern underfloor heating, called bang, continues this legacy, connecting skyscrapers to the same ancient wisdom once born in peasant cottages. The warmth of ondol was never just about temperature. It was emotional, communal, and sacred. It taught generations that true comfort rises not from wealth, but from the ground beneath one's own life. In the frozen world of medieval Korea, survival was not conquered by strength alone, but by understanding. Peasants learned that warmth could be woven from earth and love, that endurance was a quiet art. The ondol beneath their feet and the people beside them became the twin flames that outlasted every storm. From their humble homes, a philosophy of resilience emerged, that comfort is not granted by nature, but created by human care. The Korean winter, fierce and unrelenting, forged a culture where simplicity and closeness were not signs of poverty, but of wisdom. When snow fell and the horizon vanished into white, villages glowed faintly under thatched roofs, tiny constellations of warmth in a sea of cold. Each home, no matter how poor, held the pulse of life carried through breath, fire, and faith. Today, as modern heaters hum in cities built of glass, the spirit of those old winters remains, the knowledge that warmth is not electricity, but empathy. The peasants of medieval Korea did not fight the cold. They listened to it, learned from it, and turned it into the quiet heartbeat of their civilization.